Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook, and then I do these question and answers, and I post them on Wednesday. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. So if you are anywhere in the world and you need to get into a therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a questionnaire, and they will place you with a licensed professional therapist, master's level or PhD level. And there you go. And if you don't like them, you just go back on and say, hey, didn't like the therapist, put me with somebody else, fill out another little questionnaire, and they'll get you with a different therapist. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, diving into the questions. So as you can tell, I am not in my normal space. I'm actually filming this on Sunday because we're supposed to get on the cruise ship. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, yeah, they changed our time. It just, yeah. Anyway, so today is Sunday actually, but I'll be posting this on Wednesday. So there is that, just to keep kind of a little bit of consistency. All right. What was I going to say? Oh, questions. So tons and tons of the questions. So let me go over here. Okay. My ex seems to know where I am at all times. Even though I changed where I go, how does she know? Ooh, okay, guys, we got to talk about AirTags. So Apple came out with AirTags, and unfortunately, they were supposed to be used to find lost luggage or, where you keep track of your keys or whatever. But AirTags have been used for tracking people. They've been used to keep track of exes and things like that. And they're super small, and they can be slipped into a seat of a car. They can be put into a purse. They can be slipped into the glove compartment. I mean, all sorts of things. So my suggestion would be is if your ex seems to know where you are at all times and shows up or whatever, go through your car and with a fine-tooth comb and see if you can find the AirTag. I think there's also a way to see if there's an AirTag near you. So this is technical stuff, so I'm not really sure. Ooh, hey, John. Ooh, hello, he's got his headphones on. Do you know anything about AirTags?
What?
Do you know anything about AirTags, like how you can find them? Like if somebody's tracking you with an AirTag, can you look on your phone and say...
There's apps you can get that will tell you, and I think you can, on the Apple settings now or somewhere in Apple, it'll tell you if there's an unregistered AirTag.
Okay, on Apple settings, it'll tell you if there's an unregistered AirTag in your area or on you, near you, whatever. So definitely investigate that. If you find one, that is considered harassment. That is stalking. Thank you very much. I would seriously file a restraining order. Seriously. It's like they don't need to know where you are. Even if you've got kids together, they do not need to know where you are. There is no reason. So yeah, be very proactive in if you feel like your ex is showing up where you are all the time, you've changed your routine, they somehow know where you are, or they comment like, I see you were at this grocery store instead of that grocery store, or whatever. Do go through your car or do get one of those apps and try to find the AirTag, because I'll bet you that's what's going on. They're tracking you somehow. They've either got something on your phone or they've got something on an AirTag in your car.
And it's not just Apple, there's other brands.
And there's other brands too. See, this is technical stuff that I'm not really savvy about. So what I would do is I would go online and I would, ask. So like a couple of good places, Reddit, Quorum, those are both good places to find information on, what do I do if I feel like I'm being followed or somebody's got an AirTag on me or whatever. So, and like I said, if you find it and you can prove that it belongs to them, you've got a good case for getting a restraining order, especially if there's no reason to be in contact. So, if you had kids together, there still wouldn't be a reason for them to track where you're going on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that's a little concerning. I mean, technology, it's amazing to me how technology that was intended for good gets used for bad by disordered people. So yeah, that's what I think. So That's probably how she knows. Um, can you explain projecting? My abusive dad keeps telling me I'll never amount to anything or that I will fail without him. Well, okay. So projecting is when they are spewing onto you what they are all about. Okay. So projecting is like, okay. So the whole thing about you're going to fail without me, that's a narcissistic thing. Is that projecting? Maybe, but it's more along the lines of, look how important I am. You're going to fail without me. You'll never amount to anything without my guidance and my influence. You know, I almost flipped the bird there, but yeah, so it's kind of projecting, but that is more along the lines of, look how important I am. I'm going to predict your doom. You're nothing without me, because they want you to be like this on them. They want you to be so codependent on them that you never leave. That's what that's all about, really, when you think about it, because they need a punching bag. And if you're successful and you get away from them, they don't have a punching bag anymore. So that's kind of what that whole you'll never amount to anything, you'll fail without me, that's more of the I want to make sure to sabotage you so that you don't do well, so that you're not better than I am. That's a narcissistic thing. These parents, and I put them in bunny ear quotes, really are, they do one of two things. They either have this golden child that they groom to be a mini them, okay? Or they want the child to fail because they're so threatened by the child's ability. So honestly, in a way, this is letting you know that you obviously are very threatening to him, because why else would he tell you you're going to fail and you're nothing without him? See where I'm going with that? You are so much without him. You are, and you're not going to fail. You know, it's like, get some help, get to a good trauma therapist, work on that self-esteem. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. That's the codependency stuff. Inner Child Work, Catherine Taylor or Lucia Cappuccioni. Now, here's the other thing. We are not doomed to live out our disordered parents' expectation of us or their story that they made up about us. It's funny because this has come up several times over the last few weeks. So I think I told you guys, my dad was like, oh, you're the cute one. You're not the smart one. Yeah. Well, he was very threatened by me because I could see the pink elephant taking a crap in the corner of the living room. And I called it out all the time. That's why he hit me all the time, because I was always like, no, this is time out. This is wrong. You know, and so he didn't like the fact that I could see stuff, that I had good common sense, you know, and so he would constantly try to undermine my sense of self, because it was very threatening to him, because here I was, a woman, and he was misogynistic like nobody's business. He hated everybody, but he hated women particularly. He was also a racist. He was also sexist. He was also ageist. He was also, oh my good God. Anyway, so he would constantly predict my doom. My mom, on the other hand, you know, like, you're not smart. You're never going to make it. You're good enough to be a hairdresser, not anything else. That's basically what he told me. And not that there's anything wrong with hairdressers. Hairdressing is an art. It really is. And you have to be able to visualize stuff to be a really good hairdresser. So it's amazing to me how he would always put down, somebody had to be one down, and he always had to be one up. So this is kind of what your dad is doing. It's like he's putting you down so he can be one up. And that's what they do, because they're so threatened by artistic people, by intelligent people, by creative people, by common sense people, because they don't have any of that, you know, basically. So they predict our doom. They predict our doom, but really they're talking about themselves. So he's a failure without you. He's not going to make it without you, because he's going to need to find another supply. He's going to need to find another punching bag. That's really what this is all about. So, you know, and my mom used to do something similar, because her mom was a narcissist. So, you know, she would tell me, oh, you're a loner. You're a loner. You don't need anybody. Well, guess what? I am social like nobody's business. I enjoy people. I love talking to people. I love being around people. I love hearing their stories. It's why I love what I do as a therapist. So, it's interesting to me that she was really talking about herself, and it had to do with her own childhood and her own abuse situation. So, when parents are disordered and they predict your doom, it's really about them. It has nothing to do with you. So, projection, a real obvious projection, is when, say, a romantic partner does something like, well, you're cheating. You're cheating. You're cheating. I know you're cheating. You're cheating. Well, guess what? Guarantee you they're the ones that are cheating. And they constantly will accuse the people around them of the very thing that they are doing, because they cannot conceive that other people do not think the way they do. It doesn't enter their realm of thinking that other people have a different way of doing things. So anyway, that's a projection. So they're projecting what they're thinking or what they're doing. Or they'll accuse you of being a racist, or accuse you of being sexist, or accuse you of whatever, or hating men or hating women, when in fact, it's them that does that. It's really, and you got to look at the behavior. So again, it's the behavior. Look at the behavior. If they're hateful, harmful, hurtful people, and then yet they're accusing you of being hateful, harmful, hurtful, they're talking about themselves, not you. They don't know who you are. They really don't. I lived with my dad for 17 years. He had no clue who I was, because he had no clue who he was. So abusers do not get who we are. They don't get who they are. They cannot conceive of other people having a different way of thinking. And so because they will do something, they accuse other people of wanting to do the same thing. And it's not true. So this is where certainty really comes in handy. They want to gaslight us. That's kind of gaslighting. That's saying, oh, well, you're not going to survive without me. You're not going to, and that's not the truth. So the certainty, and this is where the self-esteem workbook really helps, is that you realize these people are lying. They're talking about themselves. They're predicting their own doom, not yours. They don't know who you are. They don't. They really, truly don't. So work on the self-esteem and the certainty. So when you're doing the mirror work, hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? You are successful. You are. Without your dad, you are successful. And then walk out. So give yourself some certainty, because they have an agenda. What's the agenda? What's the agenda to keep you down? What do they get out of it? There's something they're getting out of it. So it's either that one up, I'm going to make you feel like crap, I'm better than you are kind of thing, or I'm going to make you stay down so that I continually have a punching bag. There's an agenda, guys. There's always an agenda to that. So work on the self-esteem. And projecting is where they say things that are blatantly not true, and they're not true. So that statement, you're going to fail without me, or you're nothing, it's, wait a minute, who are you talking about? You don't even know who I am. See where I'm going with that? So work on self-esteem. That's what I got to say about that. Okay. My abuser turned on the waterworks when he was caught cheating, but the rest of the time he had no emotion. What gives? Psycho killer, kiss kiss. So, okay. Dark triads, narcissists, antisocial. Yeah. They can turn on the waterworks, but there's no emotion otherwise. That is a huge, ginormous red flag. Psychopaths can pretend. Narcissists, dark triad. So a dark triad is a psychopath, narcissistic control freak. Okay, Machiavellian is what it's called. So they can pretend to have emotions. They may feel their own emotions, but they truly cannot put themselves into somebody else's shoes. So when they get caught, they will do what they think is expected of them. So the waterworks will start. I mean, here's the thing. Are they really crying? Is there really tears coming down their face? Sometimes they can manufacture them. A lot of times they can't. So, and I think I've talked about this before. In dealing with dark triads in my practice, back in the day when I used to do couples counseling, dear Lord, I will never do couples counseling again, because that's usually 9 times out of 10, that's what was going on. It was a narcissist with a target. And it was any progress that was made, they'd undo. So never go to couples counseling with an abuser, ever. They will not change, guys. Listen to me now, believe me later. They will not change. So psychopaths can mimic real emotions. They can mimic them. Sometimes they're not completely successful. So, how do I explain this? When somebody is expressing an emotion to me, if it does not reach their eyes, that's my clue that I'm dealing with somebody that's completely checked out and not there emotionally. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And in working with a lot of psychopaths at the homeless shelter, because we had a lot of, felons and things like that were in there, I think I've mentioned this several times. There was this one that you could literally see the flames of hell burning in his eyes. And when he did try to do an emotion, it would never reach his eyes. Like when he smiled, they were still dead. It was like, how do I explain it? The psychopathic stare is the scariest thing you're ever going to see, because they're looking at you like, how can I hurt them? How can I humiliate them? How can I harm them? Their eyes are like dead. They're dead. There's no light. Usually you look into people's eyes, there's a light, there's emotion, there's feeling. But with a psychopath, it's like a shark. It really is like a shark. And they can mimic emotions. They may be able to produce tears, but 9 times out of 10, they can't. So when I've had to deal with truly dark triad, crazy, not there, and they would try to do the tearful thing when they got caught, especially if they were caught cheating, they would do the whole, sniffling and this, that, and the other thing, but never needed Kleenex. And there was no tears coming down. There was no water. So they can fake it. I mean, you can act like you're crying. And if people are not close enough to you to actually look in your eyes and see if there really is tears coming down, you could fake it enough. But yeah, and psychopaths do that all the time, especially on in court cases. So I think I've talked about this before. In watching Signs of a Psychopath, there was this one kid who murdered a child in high school and was up for parole. And they were, grilling him. And he was turning on the waterworks, but there were no tears. And the prosecutor or whoever was trying to keep him in jail was like, yeah, it's funny. You don't need a Kleenex. And I went, oh, yeah, yep, he's faking it. So if you were a jury member, you couldn't tell that he was faking it. But if you were close enough to see that, there was no tears, yeah, you could tell. So, yeah, they do not have emotions in the way that we understand it, okay? They don't have empathy. They just don't. They cannot put themselves in somebody else's shoes. It just is beyond their means. So if they're doing tears only in a situation where they've been caught and they're like, I'm sorry, but then they do it again, that's not a real apology. A real apology is changed behavior. Let me say that again. A real apology is changed behavior. So if there's no emotion any other time, yeah, they're acting. It's performative. They're doing a performance. And you'll notice that. It's like when people who are disordered show an emotion, it's very much a look at me, let me show you how emotional I am, as opposed to a normal person, a healthy person who has an emotion, doesn't care whether there's people around watching or not. But a narcissist and a psychopath, they need an audience. So hope that answers the question. Yeah, and he did it while he was caught cheating. That's why. He was trying to get out of it. The rest of the time had no emotions. Yeah, that's because he's trying to get out of it. And honestly, go get tested, get out of the relationship. Listen to me now, believe me later. The ones who cheat generally are psychopaths and narcissists because they are arrogant and self-centered, and they truly believe that the rules do not apply to them. It applies to the little people, but not to them. So they'll, if they're turning on the waterworks and, oh, baby, it'll be different. I'm so sorry. I can guarantee you in a few weeks, the tone is going to change, or even a few days. Tone is going to change, and suddenly it's going to be like, well, you made me. You made me cheat. You did this, so I had to do that. That's what they do. They don't ever really take responsibility. And the best apology is changed behavior. So if this person has cheated on you, get out. Get out, save yourself, go get tested, because I can guarantee you caught him this time. How many times didn't you catch him? And in this day and age, your health is worth leaving. It is. So go get tested, Get out of the relationship, get to a good trauma therapist, start working on self-esteem. Start working on the self-esteem workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Get with a good trauma therapist. What attracted you to this person in the first place? Who does this person remind you of in your family of origin? Who does this person remind you of? And every time I ask that, the first initial thing my clients are like, no. And I'm like, take a look. Who does this remind you of? And then suddenly it's like, oh, this person reminds me of the parent I had the hardest time with. Why? Because our inner child, the one who's running the show, unless we start working on it, looks at the family of origin and goes, ugh, they didn't love me. I had a really hard time with this parent or both parents. I know if I can find somebody out here who reminds me of them and make them love me, I'll prove mom and dad wrong. Half of a doo-doo sandwich, half of a doo-doo sandwich, total doo-doo sandwich. So you want to start working on the inner child. Why were you attracted to this person? What drew you to them? How were they similar to the parent or caregivers you had the hardest time with? What's going on? You got to figure that out so that you don't do it again. So yeah, really important to work on yourself. Okay, can you please explain gray rock? Okay, gray rock. Gray rock is when you are dealing with an abuser who is on a rampage, basically. So I've heard some people say, oh, well, it just enrages them more. Well, leave. Basically what gray rock is you're not giving them anything. You're not giving them any emotion whatsoever. So it's kind of like, how do I explain this? When I've had to work with people who were in the thralls of addiction, which mimics narcissism a lot, and I tell them, you have to quit drinking. You can't show up to session drunk. Thank you very much. Sometimes they'd get up into my face and start screaming and yelling because they're trying to intimidate, manipulate, and control. And most people would freak out. Most people would be like, oh my God, don't get in my face. And I would just stare at them. Are you done? Touch me and you're going to jail. Seriously, like no emotion. Like not intimidated, not scared, not sad, not happy, no tears, nothing. And eventually they'd stop because they weren't getting the reaction they wanted and they weren't getting the power and control that they wanted. Now, if it really got threatening to the point where I really thought they were going to hit me or something, I would simply stand up and walk out. You know? So gray rock is no response. No response at all. Yeah, they hate it. They hate it because they're all about power and control. They're all about, I'm going to make you feel a certain way. I'm going to intimidate you. I'm going to scare you. I'm going to make you sad. I'm going to make you angry. Because they're looking for that narcissistic supply. This is their cocaine. It is. This is their cocaine. This is, oh, good. I'm making them angry. Oh, look at that. I'm so powerful. It's feeding their ego. And if you don't give them anything, it does not feed their ego. They got nothing. So will it make them ramp up their behavior? Yeah, it could. It could. But guess what? They're going to ramp up their behavior regardless. So be prepared to walk out. Be prepared to be like, okay, we're done. Bye. And then leave. And they're really not going to know what to do with that. Now, can they become violent? Yeah, they absolutely can. This is a possibility you've got to be prepared for. But if they are having a penchant for violence, they're going to become violent at some point anyway. Narcissists and psychopaths need more and more stimulation in order to get that same hit of ego control, narcissistic supply. So you've got to understand, if you're dealing with somebody who's disordered, you need to get out. You need to save yourself. You need to leave. You need to be safe. And I am immensely upset right now with, I think it was Psychology Today, posted an article about bullies, right? They completely ignored the fact that bullies are, for the most part, personality disordered. And they were like, oh, you can help them. And I'm like, oh, you can kiss rocks. You can't help them. They don't change. They listen to me now, believe me later. I've been doing this for years, guys. I've been doing this for years. They will change in order to get out of trouble. So let's say there's a bully at work, right? So they're bullying somebody at work, they get caught. Boo hoo hoo, tears start, whatever. I'll change. I didn't realize it was wrong. I'll take the training, blah, blah, blah. They take the training. They'll go to the therapy sessions. They won't do any of the work. The therapist will threaten them and say, hey, you're not doing the work. I'm going to release you. They realize they're going to lose their job. They do the work. But then they find a more covert way to bully at work. That's what they do. So this article where they were like, oh, you can help them. And I'm like, I'd love to know what drugs you're taking because you are totally smoking the ganja right now. Seriously. I mean, yeah, I wanted to send them a letter and tell them that they're so full of it, their eyes should be brown. You know what I'm saying? It made me so angry because it's like that perpetuates this myth that you can help them. You can't. You can help them temporarily so that they adjust their behavior so that they don't get in trouble, but they're not doing it because, oh my gosh, I harmed somebody. Ownership. They never do that. What they're doing is they're like, oh, I'm going to lose my job, as opposed to, geez, that really was not cool. I harmed somebody. So you got to understand, you're dealing with somebody who does not have normal emotions. They do not have the process of thinking that the rest of us do. So, sorry, I went off on a tangent. So gray rock, when you're having to deal with somebody who's a bully or somebody who is a narcissist or a psychopath, you give them nothing. You don't give them any energy. You don't give them any emotion. And if they become really threatening, you simply, without a word, stand up and walk out. Don't give them anything. That's what they're looking for. So gray rock is a way of dealing with bullies. It's a way of dealing with, because you don't want to say anything to them. So remember, in the last Sunday video that I did, anything you say will be used against you. There is nothing you can say when they're in a rage, when they're in an accusatory mode, because they have already been judge, jury, and executioner. They've already decided you're wrong and you'll never be right. And there's nothing you can say to change that. Now, your inner child is going to jump up and be like, but, and you've got to be like, no, little one. Nope. We'd have a deeper conversation with the headboard behind me. Seriously, you're not going to have a meaningful conversation with these people. If they're judge, jury, and executioner, they've already decided. So walk away. Give them nothing. Walk away. That's the best you can do. So, okay, let's see if there are any other questions. No, I think that's it. All right, my loves, there will be no show on Sunday again because we will be getting back into port. On June, what's the next one? Hold on. I know I have, hold on. Do I have, no, that's July. Hold on. No, that's July shows. Hold on. Let me look for June. I know I have June shows. Hold on. Doot. June shows. There we go. Crushing Your Dreams on June 4th. So that kind of goes along with the first question that I answered, is why do they crush your dreams? Sabotage. So we're going to talk about how they try to keep you from being the best version of you can and what you can do about it. And this is dealing with parental units. This is also dealing with romantic partners who sabotage your ambitions or sabotage your job or sabotage your career or your hobbies or whatever. So we're going to talk about that, crushing your dreams. So that's going to be on June 4th. All right, my loves, I will do another Wednesday video in between, and then I will see you guys on June 4th. You guys take good care of yourselves, drink plenty of water, use sunscreen, and I will talk to you on June 4th. Bye.